these NFL futures right now. What's going on, gridiron gamblers and NFL fans? It's Mitch here, back with another BLV betting video. And I'm here to give you my favorite future picks entering the 2024 NFL season. And I think you need to bet these right now, guys. Do it before the kickoff of the 2024 NFL season. Gronk, spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more NFL betting content, including my weekly best bets and weekly NFL picks. Comment your opinion on my picks in this video, and also let me know any futures that you have bet already. Let's get to it. Let's begin with division winners. My three favorite picks to win their division in 2024. Obviously, I'm not just going to be picking like the Chiefs and the Niners. Their odds are awful. It's not really worth betting unless you're adding them to a parlay. But these are based on the odds as well as the likeliness that it's going to happen. So my favorite pick is the Houston Texans to win the AFC South. It's near even money. So I feel like it's pretty close to a lock that the Texans win their division this year. But because they're a little bit more uncertain than the Chiefs or the Niners, they have not been given that respect quite yet. I think the Jags could maybe be a wild card team. I'm not sold on the Colts quarterback situation. I'm not sold on the Titans quarterback situation. I don't think either team really is a true playoff threat. Maybe in their best outcome, but not likely. So I see the Texans as the supreme team in this division based on they have the best quarterback, based on they have the best coaching staff, based on the fact that they have probably the best skill talent, best pass rush. All of these areas favor the Texans. They have a complete roster led by a young, promising, elite talent at the most important position, CJ Stroud. He's throwing to Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, Dalton Schultz. They added Joe Mixon. The O-line was the most injured in football last year, and they still made the playoffs and still won this division. Imagine if the O-line with Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon is actually healthy. This offense is going to go off. And then defensively, Danielle Hunter is a big-time addition to go along with Will Anderson, same as Danico Autry. They've got plenty of depth in their pass rush. D'Amico year two with a lot of these guys building this defensive philosophy. He's one of the best play callers, one of the best defensive minds in football. Derek Stingley could ascend. They have a young roster on defense and offense. It's going up. I think the Texans are a true contender, and I really don't think this price really factors that in. I think they're looked at as a playoff team, a likely division winner, but not a true Super Bowl contender. So I think they're more than that, and I think that's why this is my favorite bet on the board for division bets. Second favorite bet to win their division is the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are actually second in odds to win the AFC North, which is why I love this bet so much. I don't think they should be second. I think they should be first. I think they should be favored over the Ravens. And I understand why they are not. The Ravens were the number one seed last year in the AFC. They won the division, and the Bengals finished last in their division. Now, why did they finish last? Joe Burrow got hurt. But the Bengals, despite one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL getting injured, they still finished 9-8. They still had a winning record. But you know what happens in 2024 because the Bengals had a 9-8 record and finished last in their division last year, while the other three teams made the playoffs? They have a fourth place schedule. So that means they have the easiest schedule in this division. They won the division in 2021 and 2022. They represented the AFC in the Super Bowl in 2021, and they went to the AFC Championship the last time Joe Burrow was healthy for a full season. So if Joe Burrow is healthy, which I assume he will be this year, I think the fortune will change. They have an improved secondary. They have an improved offensive line. T. Higgins in a contract year. I feel like the Bengals are the best team in this division. And I think they'll have the best offense, one of the best passing games in football. And I think their defense will be much better this year. I think their pass rush is underrated. And honestly, I trust Zach Taylor and Big Game Lou to coach this unit up in 2024. I think the Ravens are really lacking in terms of the coaching. I think they're bleeding at the seams in terms of the coaching staff, right? Like Mike McDonald gone. Two of their position coaches on defense gone to call plays in other places, Tennessee, Miami, right? Offensive line, 3 new starters. Defense, key pieces like Clowney, Stone, Queen, all gone and replaced. Lamar's still great, but honestly, I wouldn't be truthful if I didn't say like maybe it's Lamar's turn to get hurt for a couple games instead of Burrow's. Like it feels like there's not a season where both of these guys are both healthy. Now, I'm hoping for the NFL's sake and football's sake that they're both healthy the whole year so we could truly see a great battle in this division. But honestly, it feels like it's the Bengals' year, and I think they're going to win this division, so I love the price of them being second in odds. You're getting plus money there. My third favorite bet to win their division is the Buffalo Bills, also at the same price as the Bengals. And actually, I believe the Jets might be favored over them at this point, and maybe even Miami in some places. But the Buffalo Bills, you're betting on Josh Allen. You're betting on the infrastructure of this team, this franchise. The Bills have been the most consistent, best AFC East team for the past 4 years in a row. They've won this division. They have Sean McDermott, a good coach, and I think they built a winning culture there with Bean and McDermott and Allen. And I think they've got an underrated offensive line. I think people are overrating the loss of Stephon Diggs, which I think will be replaced by Khalil Shakir and potentially Curtis Samuel. I also feel Dalton Kincaid and James Cook could have breakout seasons. And I think their defense is pretty solid. I think they have a very good cornerback group. I think their safeties are a tad underrated. And even missing Matt Milano, I still think they'll find linebackers that can perform, maybe not at his level, but still well enough. And the D-line, I do think actually could be better than last year, depending on what they get out of Von Miller and AJ Epinesa. But I still think, guys like Rousseau, Ed Oliver will be studs for them. So the Bills are as good as any team in this division, and to me, like they're just being a little bit disrespected in the market because they have number 17. They have the best quarterback by a wide margin here. I think they definitely, have a very strong chance of winning this. So given the price of being plus money, a little bit disrespected, I'm willing to bet on Josh Allen to win this division. Next, we're going to move to offensive rookie of the year and the rookie of the year awards. So for the offensive rookie of the year, I like Malik Nabers in terms of odds. I feel like he's the best bet at 14-1. Now, when factoring in these awards, I'm mostly aiming on the best price and the best bet in terms of the actual value. I'm not picking the guy that I might think has the strongest chance to win. Obviously, that's Caleb Williams, right? But there's no point in betting Caleb Williams. I mean, he's not even 3-1 to win this award. Like, he's less than that. So, and you never know. Things like injuries can happen. They could be underwhelming. Honestly, there's such high expectations on Caleb Williams that if he's not spectacular, people are going to hold that against him, given his situation. But Malik Nabers, I think, has a extreme opportunity to light up the skies in New York. I think that he's going to be featured in his offense. That's very rare for a rookie receiver. He's going to probably catch the most passes out of any of the receivers and any of the rookies, period, including Marvin Harrison Jr., because he is like by far the best weapon that the Giants have. He's electric. He's been getting training camp and preseason buzz. He can win down the field. He can win underneath. He can win in the screen game. He's an amazing talent, and he's in New York. New York media, New York buzz, primetime action, NFC East, Dallas Cowboys. He has the Odell Beckham type of formula here. So Malik Nabers to me at 14-1 is a great price to bet at. I think he could be one of the best receivers in football as a rookie. And I don't really care about the quarterback situation, honestly. I think Daniel Jones has shown he can be decent at times. Drew Lock, if he gets in there, he definitely will throw the football. And Brian Daboll is a good play caller and a good coordinator for the offense, so I think he'll be able to manufacture touches for Nabers. So I think even if this team is bad, they're going to go off individual performance. Let's say Caleb misses the playoffs. He's probably not going to win the award. They might look at somebody like Neighbors or Marvin Harrison. But given the prices, I like Malik Neighbors a lot. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I got 2 picks for you. Laitu Latu at 5.5 to 1, and then also Jared Verse at 12 to 1. Now, the reason for this is Laitu Latu wouldn't have been a pick previously, but Samson Ebukam went down. I think this definitely increased his chances to play on every snap and play a pretty traditional defensive end role for the Colts in a system that is pretty basic to learn as a rookie, right? We remember Nick Bosa kind of entered that sort of situation in San Francisco in a similar defense, an attacking 4-3 style, and he was very, very good as a rookie. So I could see Laitu Latu, a guy that I think is the most well-versed, a little bit of a talk to Jared Verse, but I feel like Laitu Latu is a player that is most NFL ready out of all the pass rushers in the draft. He's got the most in his bag when it comes to pass rushing moves. He is athletic enough to get it done, and he's in a system that I think allows pass rushers to flourish in terms of sacks and pressures and stats. So Laitu Latu is more of a favorite pick, but I do like this one as opposed to Dallas Turner in Minnesota, who's going to have to work in rotation with guys like Jonathan Grenard and also with Andrew Van Ginkel. So I just think Latu's opportunity is better there in Indianapolis. Then we've got Jared Verse, who's more of like an opportunity pick, like 12 to 1. He's talented. He's been getting good buzz out of camp. The Rams are a pretty underwhelming defense on paper, but if the Rams defense outperforms expectation, everybody's going to point to the young, youthful talent that they have, and Jared Verse would come first to mind, right? He's going to have to be really impactful in helping replace Aaron Donald up front. He's going to play a lot because their edge position isn't overly talented. And yeah, he's not the biggest name, but overall, like, he could be on a good team that makes a push for the playoffs. Latu, I'm not exactly sure that's going to happen. You know, Dallas Turner, I don't think that's going to happen. Verse is in a good situation, and it's not an overwhelming defensive class coming out of this draft. So I definitely feel like a pass rusher that could put up 7 to 10 sacks might win this award. So those are my picks for offensive and defensive Rookie of the Year. The defensive Player of the Year, I have 2 picks as well, one favorite and one sort of long shot. My favorite pick is Max Crosby because I just feel like a lot of people love Max Crosby. There's something about Max Crosby, his energy, his passion, his vibration that people really like. And he's that one edge rusher when you think about Myles Garrett, you think about Nick Bosa, you think about TJ Watt. All these other guys have won the award, right? Max Crosby is always seen as kind of underrated, disregarded, a guy that everybody loves and I think can get behind. If he all of a sudden, thanks to an addition of Christian Wilkins up front, leads a Raiders defense that's in the top 10, makes plays weekly, keeps them in games, maybe they surprise to 8-9 wins, right? It's very possible that Crosby is right in the conversation because nobody plays more snaps than him. You can make a conversation because of the volume statistics that will be there for Crosby. His sacks could go up thanks to the presence of Wilkins, but he's going to have a ton of run stops because he always does. He's always viewed as the most well-rounded edge rusher in football. So to me, Crosby at 9 to 1 is a pretty good price, especially when you compare that to somebody like Micah Parsons who's leading it. My long shot is Sauce Gardner at 61 to 1. And a shout out to my dad who actually, I asked him, who do you think is going to win Defensive Player of the Year? He said, the guy from the Jets. I was like, Quinnen Williams? I'm like, Sauce? He's like, Sauce, yeah. I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good pick, honestly. So I'm going to go with that one. I actually really like the price too, 61 to 1 for the best corner in football, right? If you're thinking about who's the best player at their position, Sauce Gardner is probably the best corner in football for a majority of people, I would think. And the Jets are going to have a ton of steam. They're going to be on prime time a lot, I think more than anybody. Their defense is going to have to be a huge reason they make the playoffs or a huge reason they're successful. And Sauce Gardner is the face of the defense, right? Quinnen Williams, a lot of people love him and know him. But Sauce is like the sauce of the defense, right? Like he's the swag, he's the name, he's the brand, he's the face. So similar to Darrelle Revis, who got robbed of a Defensive Player of the Year once upon a time, Sauce Gardner could definitely be in that conversation if he gets some interceptions, if they're leading in games, their pass rush is able to get after it, right? Sauce could come down with some picks, or maybe he's just a shutdown corner to the degree of like Stephon Gilmore in 2019, to where you could certainly see that dominance happening, and he leads the Jets to a playoff appearance. So Sauce certainly could win Defensive Player of the Year. I think he is mispriced at 61-1. Offensive Player of the Year, I'm going to nominate Bijan Robinson at 21-1 as my pick. I love this pick. I think Bijan is going to have an amazing season. I think he might even be worth like first or second overall picks in fantasy drafts this year. He's going to be outrageous. His production on the ground as well as through the air is going to give him a well-rounded profile and statistical evidence that he is Offensive Player of the Year. I do think the Falcons will win their division. I do think the Falcons will win, maybe win a playoff game, but make the playoffs. And I think that with Cousins there, they're going to be a team that everybody is paying attention to. And I think Bijan is going to be the heart and soul of the team. I think he's going to be the reason their offense is successful. And we've seen that scheme with the Rams before, put up an Offensive Player of the Year type of season. Todd Gurley, once upon a time. So I could see Bijan replicating that, and he could lead the NFL in rushing as well. It's 11-1 for that bet. So that might even be a better bet than the Offensive Player of the Year, because you got to contend with guys like CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek Hill, I should say. Maybe Jalen Waddle, who knows, right? You've got to contend with a lot of receivers. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and quarterbacks, right? Like Burrow, Stroud, Mahomes, Allen, etc. But Bijan Robinson, he's only really got to compete with running backs to lead the NFL in rushing. And if it's not Bijan, it could be Breece, it could be CMC, right? But I do feel like the Niners and the Jets are probably going to throw it a little bit more than the Falcons. That's just my kind of feel. But yeah, I love Bijan. Great player. I think he's going to carry the load for this team, and he's going to carry them to the playoffs. So I like that pick, Offensive Player of the Year. My most valuable Player of the Year picks, I basically have two with one long shot. So I'm just going to continue my Offensive Player of the Year with my long shot pick, which is Bijan Robinson at 251-1. It's a complete long shot. But if he's in the conversation for Offensive Player of the Year, he's probably in the conversation for MVP, right? So Christian McCaffrey was in the conversation last year for MVP. If the Falcons are like better than I expect, and like they're better than just a division winner, but all of a sudden they win 11, 12, 13 games and they're the number 1 or number 2 seed, people are probably not going to give this award to Kirk Cousins. They're probably going to give this award to Bijan Robinson, right? Imagine if they win 12 games. It's possible. So to me, I think Bijan Robinson, with the well-rounded production he's going to see in this offense, the amount of touchdowns he might see in the offense, if he has a McCaffrey-like season from last year and they are a very successful team kind of by surprise, he's going to be given the credit. So 251-1. You could certainly do worse there. But my actual MVP picks, it's between Joe Burrow and CJ Stroud. I probably just bet on both of them, but Burrow's at 10-1, Stroud's at 11-1. Pick your poison there. I think either one could win, number 1 seed in the AFC. I feel like the Bengals and the Texans are both going to flirt with 12, 13 wins this year. And I think both of these quarterbacks will be close to leading the NFL in passing yards and passing touchdowns and overall passing production. So I feel like that's going to put them right in the conversation. Everybody loves Joe Burrow, plus is a little bit of a comeback story. He is very viral. So if I were to pick one, I would say Joe Burrow. But CJ Stroud is definitely a guy that people are starting to fall in love with as well. And it wouldn't be crazy to see him win the MVP as well. So those are my MVP picks. And then the final bets that you have to make before week 1, my Super Bowl winner bets. I have 3 teams, 2 from the AFC, 1 from the NFC, and we're going to continue this trend of talking about the Bengals and the Texans. But I do have my NFC pick as well. But first, I've got the Bengals at 8-1 to win the AFC and the Bengals to win the Super Bowl at 15-1. The Bengals, I think they have been that team that has been so close for a couple of seasons. They lost in the Super Bowl and they barely lost to the Chiefs in an AFC championship. And then Burrow got hurt last year. They're the motivated team. They're the team that's largely the same with the same core of players, the same head coach, the same defensive coordinator, the same front four on defense, basically the same linebackers, the same core players on offense, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow. Outside of Joe Mixon, they pretty much have everybody. So for me, like, the Bengals are that team that I feel like they've got a great culture. They go into every playoff game like they're going to win it. They never back down. And honestly, like, they're the team that has proven they can beat the Chiefs. And if you're going to bet on any team in the AFC to win the Super Bowl, you should bet on the team that has most often beaten the Chiefs, because the Chiefs are going to be there at the end of the day. So the Bengals at 15-1, I feel, is a great bet compared to, the teams like the Niners and the Chiefs at the top that are, heavy favorites. So the Bengals are more of a second-tier favorite at 15-1. The Texans as well at 17-1 and 9-1 to win the AFC. Similar prices here. The Texans are slightly lower than the Bengals, but the Texans, to me, have a better roster than the Bengals overall. I just think they have less of a proven quality to them in terms of postseason success and kind of the aura that surrounds the Bengals in terms of that Chief success, right? I think there's something to that, as well as the Bengals. Their time might be now, while the Texans might have to wait a year or two from now. But the Texans have a complete team. Like I said, I love the coaching staff. CJ is ready. They've got probably the top 3 receiving core, top 2 receiving core in the league. And their defense has the pass rush and a couple players in the secondary to make this happen, led by Derek Stingley. The Texans are a complete roster, complete team, great coaching staff, and all these guys are hitting their prime right now. So that's a team to bet on. And my NFC pick is the Green Bay Packers at 17-1 to win the Super Bowl and 8.5-1 to win the NFC. Now, I would likely lean towards the Niners as the favorite, but given their price, I'm not really going to bet on it. But if there's a team that I feel like's most likely to beat the Niners, it's probably the Packers. It's kind of funny to say that, but the Lions are probably the team that I'd pick to win their division. But I think the Packers in the playoffs might have more potential and more ceiling, because a higher ceiling, because Jordan Love has this ability where he can go off. He can get on a tear. He can get hot at the right time. Like we saw last year, the Packers played the Niners very competitively in the playoffs last year as well. I think their defense will be improved. I think that their offense, all their young players are hitting the right strides. And I could see multiple breakouts on this offense, from Christian Watson to Reed or Dobbs to Wicks, to Josh Jacobs could be a huge deal in the playoffs. I think the pass rush is going to be really good this year. I'm excited for Xavier McKinney's addition. So I think the Packers could be that team that everybody's excited for. They're young, they're vibrant. Everybody thinks they're going to be good, but I don't know if anybody really thinks they're going to be Super Bowl good, which sometimes we're too late on the arrival, too late on the train, too late on the bandwagon. I'm telling you, bet a little bit on this bandwagon early, and maybe you'll see a payoff, because I wouldn't be shocked if the Packers made the Super Bowl. So, especially if their cards go right. Like, imagine just like if they're able to avoid the Niners and really all they have to play is like the Lions. I think they could beat anybody else in the NFC pretty, not easily, but like, I think they could take down the Eagles for sure. I think they could take down the Lions. I think they could take down the Rams, right? So even if there's a chance that, let's say, the Rams take out the Niners and the Packers are able to play the Rams in Lambeau in the NFC Championship, then who knows? I mean, things might fall their way. So yeah, those are my bets. Those are my futures that I think you need to make before week 1 kicks off, guys. If this video does well, I'll make another video where I give my favorite win totals to bet before week 1. Gronk, spike the like button, subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you soon. Peace.